person today. I have to wait at home for someone to come by and check out some of our ducting in the basement.
No problem. What else do we have there? Anything else? We missed anything?
I'm not sure who's labeled as Rico Munn, but I'm guessing that's not you.
I think that's James.
He's everywhere.
This is explaining all that to me, actually.
So that's all we have currently. Okay. Let's go ahead and get started. Call to order. If you look at the, well, actually sent out the board package, you also had the, meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Second. Does anybody have any additions, changes or anything? No, give us the aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, minutes have been approved. Chair reports, I have a great announcement today, as we mentioned last month in executive session. We have one candidate that we're bringing to the board today. And I saw it was already announced that Denver Gazette, that was a little bit premature. That was more my fault than itself, but, basically, I don't think we need to go into executive session, give a copy of the contract, that's just for the board members. Not public, and, so, is there any need to go into executive session? Okay, if not, then we will, I would like to have a motion to approve the employment agreement between National Western Center Authority and Kate Durham, as listed here in the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Great. Whew. Last night, as long as we did 6-5, we stuck it through, Kate. So I couldn't be more impressed with Kate and the executive committee or the search committee. She just put the total study out. Obviously, you saw her resume last month. And really great contacts from the area of events and really the nationwide reach there. And I've been really impressed with Kate and her ability already to hit the ground running in order to be stopped along with it, which is great. But I just, I couldn't be, as a search committee chair, you're always nervous about the person that you pick. It's like, oh my God, this is not gonna work. But Kate, it's a whole lot of stuff.
John,
No pressure.
trust the process.
Trust the process. But again, I couldn't be more happy to be, you know, board. Kate is effective date, July the 6th. Brad's in Berlin today, that was not by design, that's even on before, I didn't say in your about so. Brad and Kate already talked, and I think we'll have a great transition, just based on the initial conversation, so, well, okay. So the CEO report, okay, they come.
Great.
Any slides or anything?
Already remembered.
Great. What's your first impression, so?
Everybody has been great, so I just want to thank you all for the opportunity, for many of you for reaching out and having conversations with me. Jenna and Alexi especially for kind of taking me in and showing me the ropes, but I'm really excited. I think there's so much opportunity here. Mike, thank you so much for sitting down with me and really kind of giving me the lay of the land.
Great, Michael, did you label?
Yeah, we said.
We can change that.
Yeah.
Second page, go ahead.
But no, I think there's so much opportunity here, a lot that's already going on with new content and shows and community programs, and I'm just really excited to continue to learn about ways that we can activate the campus and work together to just bring everybody's visions to life. So again, thank you for the opportunity. I'm really excited to get started.
Great, thanks, Kate.
She also survived her walk along 16 streets. Yes, she qualified for the job.
During Kate's interview, she took a little jab at the 63 ball. Bill kind of, you know, kind of.
Bristle.
So we thought Kate's application was in jeopardy, but you know, bigger man he is. Yeah, I'll overlook it and I'll give you through the ball, so.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kate, welcome again.
Thank you.
Board report to City and County of Denver. The update is provided in the board packet. Do we have an answer on
John,
that? Hey, well, how you doing?
John, I think Steve was gonna do a quick CEO report on Brad's behalf, if you don't mind.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, Steve, I apologize, go ahead.
I will be super brief. Just want to cover a couple of things. We are going to have a facilities focused discussion today, and so Omar is here and we'll go a little deeper into these topics and more topics, but we'll cover equestrian center and executive session. Doug, Wes, anything to add on the up north parking garage?
It's progressing nicely. We're November completion.
Excellent.
First early over. Rico thinks we do.
Now that we're hitting warmer weather, we're continuing to commission the livestock center. We needed the heat and the load on the building, to work through the HVAC issues there and make sure that we can cool it. So commissioning is continuing there, also working with WSSA on the maintenance and operations grounds, agreement. We look forward to bringing that to WSSA soon. Also we talked a lot about the macro cell tower. We talked for many years about this being associated with a water tower. We have shifted away from the water tower to, preserve its historic charm and not cut into it. And so we are working on a deal right now, and I know Tony and Rico are working this too, to put a tower on CSU Hydro. And that macro tower will tie into, it's kind of the first step in distributed antenna, a DAS system. So we have better cell service on the campus and inside the building. So it's critical stuff for DAS. Again, Omar will go into more detail on some of these and look forward to that presentation. Very busy on events. You can see May and June, we had a lot of fun out here. July historically is a slower month, but you can see a couple things that we're working on there. Next slide. So we have some images here from the market at the center, and come for the market, stay for the show. We had a foam wonderland event. Didn't see any board members there. I wasn't there either. But you can see that's in Cobank Arena, very crowded, a lot of fun, occurred in this building. Community outreach, 2026 year to date, some of the events that have taken place and some of the stats. We don't waste food market. You can see 600,000 pounds of food distributed. 134 households in GES received food. Also recycled diapers, wipes, formula, you can see the numbers, 18 yards of compost, 976 community tickets distributed year to date. And then GES led events, we've participated in 23 of those. Shout out to Sandra. Sandra, do you want to tell us what we're looking at here in this is a garden place? All right.
The local garden.
You're tabling a garden place.
Yeah.
Sorry to put you in these spots.
Okay, yeah, it was a great event. There was a lot of people, but there was a lot of wind also. So everything was flying around. But yeah, it was a great event. I got to talk to people about the texting platform that you have. I think that's one of the things that people should know about, because there's resources, they're free tickets, there's a lot of things that the community doesn't even know about it, so it was good to share that information with the community. Yeah, it was a great event. I guess the only complaint we had was the hamburgers, they were like very burned.
Too dry.
Too dry. Everything else was fine.
Couple images. So Market at the Center, we had great partnership with Second Saturdays with CSU, and then also WSSA and Legacy opened its stores and saloon. There was cornhole, we've got the barrel out there. So it was a good partnership, good collaboration across all of our partners. Next slide. Here are the themes related to Market at the Center. So Mother's Day, of course, sprouting sustainability. So we gave seeds out, little seed packets, on the 13th. We're doing the rubber ducky derby, in July in the flat. Giving away backpacks in August, and the focus is, local food vendors in September. Excellent. That's it. I have a lot more to share, but just keep it brief.
Really, especially during the stock show, the auction, will that be resolved by 2027 stock show? No,
I can't make that promise.
so what's a pretty complicated issue?
It's a complicated issue, but the deal is that the carriers will bring equipment into the buildings, and it's a good deal for us, so it doesn't cost us. We may have to pay for some of that equipment, but it's important for the carriers, for the customers of the carriers to have service, and so they're willing to contribute to that equipment throughout. The critical step, Omar can give a timeline on the macro tower, is to build that first.
Yeah, the macro tower, we have a preliminary design in place right now, so. As soon as that gets reviewed by CSU folks, then that would be the first step of having the first carrier on board for the DAS system. That would open the door for T-Mobile and the other carriers. So that's the first step into the whole campus, so.
Let's give some workarounds for that during the stock show.
And we worked on a few last year that weren't extremely successful, but we're working a plan temporary as we knew the DAS system was coming, but we were gonna be a little bit getting to that, so. Trying to work through those opportunities in a way that we can manage, because if it's bad in the livestock center, it's really bad in Legacy. And so that's maybe because we have a building that is like a shield that nothing can get into and out of, so. It's very well built, but it's not so we're looking at some internal things that we can do temporarily during stock show to accommodate until we get to the DAS system.
1,000 years from now, when this is all gone, the legacy building will still be open.
This 1 year. It won't look any more rusty than it does today.
Great. Any other questions first? Maybe backtrack to the second here and just for Kate's benefit, I apologize, I should have done this earlier. Just quickly, tell us who you are and what your background is, where you work.
I'm Omar Galvan and I work for the authority, the director of facilities. This is my third year, second year. It's been a while.
Steve Nally, Chief Real Estate Officer, 7 years at the authority.
Sandra Ruiz, Global resident. I've been an activist and community organizer for almost 23 years.
Rob,
Mr. Record, Rob Brown, president of the NWC Group, mixed use real estate consultancy. I've been on the board since 1987 or something.
your original board member, yes.
I think so.
Bill Mosier, CSU up on board, starting my second term, I believe.
Tony Frank, I'm a field veterinarian, Genesee Institute.
Yeah, we met Rico Munn, CSU. Steve McCarthy.
John, I could retired baker.
Wes Allison, WSSA, National Western. I'm now not the newbie on the board, so. Eric Jones, a meeting past chairman, WSSA.
Jeremy Davis, Director of Events at CC Spur, been there for about 4 years.
Like Bouchard, new company.
I'm Deidre Garcia. I work for a large general contractor called PCL Construction.
Mark Williams, I'm senior partner at Taft Law Firm, but I've had the privilege of being the outside general counsel for the authority since 2018.
Alexi Palazzari, project and office coordinator here at the authority. August will be 3 years.
Jenna Garcia, we've had lots of FaceTime. Chief Marketing and Communications Officer.
Thanks a lot. Should probably do that at the very start, just to make sure Kate is familiar with our board. College Street, see, we're in the City County Denver update. Any questions for Mike? Or maybe? Okay, thanks, Mike. CSU, the update, we provide you the board, Jeremy.
We have some exciting things to share with you.
Sorry, Jeremy. So
You're like, well,
There we go.
All right, all right.
So just to start with some general updates, I know in the past we've talked about media hits and kind of following for the National Western Center. So I thought I'd share a little bit about CC Spur because this last month, for the last 30 days, we've gotten a lot of hits, about 76, through a variety of different initiatives that are happening on campus here. So the first is kind of cool. If you're not familiar, we have a children's program called Whiz Kid that's filmed on campus. And WizKid got nominated for a local Emmy here, the Heartland Emmy Award. And so we actually find out today whether we won that. So I'll be able to update you a little bit later after the ceremony happens. So pretty notable there. Denverite and Colorado Public Radio has been covering a lot of our drought-related tree studies that are happening here. So if you're not familiar, there's actually a research grove here at the National Western Center that is getting a lot of media attention, talking about how trees grow under stress and the current conditions that we're facing right now as a state. CBS Colorado every Thursday is featuring an expert to talk about the drought too. So you can tune in and learn a lot about what's going on, some research that is relevant for maybe your tree in your front yard that you have. And then we're actually getting picked up by some national affiliates through CBS too. So a lot of other states are covering topics related to drought, but also rain barrel activities and a number of other research projects that faculty are doing here at CSU Spur. So some really cool media following that's happening. Even one of our faculty based here on campus got featured in National Geographic recently. So we estimate that reach is about 355 million people over the last 30 days, which is incredible. And you do the advertising equivalency of that, it's about $3 million worth. So some really cool media buzz coming from campus. And I think it also highlights the National Western Center since we're situated here and kind of brings more visibility to campus. So moving on to education, some of the highlights that we have going on. We've got our youth summer camps in full gear right now. Through just the month of June, we have 18 different camps that are being featured with 530 campers that are coming to our campus Monday through Friday daily. So a lot of activity. You'll see a lot of little ones around doing different activities. Second Saturdays, I won't dive too much into that because we've already covered it, but just in our buildings alone, we're seeing about 1,000 people come in even in the summer months, which usually we see our visibility, our attendance drop during that time just because there's so many amazing things to do in Colorado, but it's remaining strong. And I think Market at the Center is a really good partnership to kind of further that along. We also have some undergraduate activity happening on campus in the summer. So we have our outstanding undergraduate research and arts. The ORA program has summer interns here with a variety of different placements. And then our undergraduate program where first year students start at Spur and then transfer to Fort Collins called Spur Start has 47 students already committed for next fall semester. So that program is growing as well and it's pretty popular here in the Denver area. And then what's next? Kind of looking ahead, we have 16 more camps coming just through the month of July and August. So a lot happening and continuing through the summer. Our field trip for the fall semester for schools to come visit opens in August. So we're expecting a lot of demand with that. We're piloting some virtual programs to Adams County and La Junta partners as well to try out some of those things and extend our outreach. And then we've got some new exhibits going into the Hydro Building in September. So a lot coming up for education. Moving on to outreach. Since our last presentation, we hosted the Bruce and Beyond Career Fair, which was incredible. We had hundreds of students hit our campus to explore career pathways and connect with industry professionals and also faculty as well. So it was an incredible success. We're already looking at what next year is going to look like for that partnership here in GES. We're doing a lot of outreach as well. So our team is hitting some of the cultural institutions and public events to provide more information about what we offer for the community. And then we're continuing our movie night series with Valdez Perry Library. And then also we started a community pizza night, which we do monthly now through a grant with Locrino. So some really cool things happening there too. And then events, this is just some highlights from the last couple of months because we've been doing quite a lot. May saw really good engagement with some of our school districts. So DPS had their whole STEAM Expo on campus where every inch shared a science project with parents and families there. We also had our Trees in the West conference. We spotlighted the Colorado Youth Mariachi program with a performance open to the community in late May. And then we finished the month with CSU Global Commencement at the CoBank Arena. And what's significant about that is I think it highlights some of the opportunities where we can work together at the National Western Center to enhance or tag on to the different events that are happening. So CSU Spur had an activation while the commencement was happening, so graduates can come over and celebrate at campus, kind of connecting families and students and learning all here at the National Western Center. In June, we've continued our mycology course for GES residents, which is pretty fascinating and somewhat popular. Yesterday, we had Arden Mills on campus for producer gathering nationwide. So we're kind of connecting with some of those industry groups as well. And then upcoming, we have a conference on native trees and shrubs of Colorado. And then coming up, we have right around the corner a party happening at CSU Spur, which is actually open to the public. Because last year, if you want to go to the next slide, there's more information about it. Last year, we discovered that the rooftop of our buildings has an amazing view of all the different fireworks displays that happen across the Denver area. And unfortunately, this year, there's probably going to be a little less of that because of the drought, but it's still a great opportunity to come celebrate Colorado's 150 and the US 250. So we're going to have games. We're going to have a local caterer called Meats and Sweets. We're going to have a DJ. And then at the end of the night, hopefully we'll be able to go up to the rooftop and watch some fireworks. So this is actually open to the public. I think it's a great opportunity to kind of celebrate at the National Western Center. So if you're interested, there's a QR code there too. Please come join us. Next slide. So in this slide, I wanted to actually briefly highlight some of the organizational alignment that further aligns CSU Spur with the land grant mission of CSU. So CSU Spur is now part of the Office of Engagement and Extension that's led by Dr. James Pritchett, our Vice President. And this is a really natural fit because OEE focuses on statewide service and community partnerships and public education, which closely aligns with what's happening at Spur. Dr. James Pritchett has an incredible wealth of experience at CSU in this area, and he's actually on the call right now, so I might invite him to talk a little bit more about this partnership and alignment.
Jeremy, thank
Go
you.
ahead, Doctor.
Thank you, and thanks for the introduction. What a great opportunity it is for me to spend a little time with the board, but also an opportunity to be part of the work that gets done here, creating positive impacts through the leadership of the CSU Spur campus. You know, I owe a debt of gratitude to folks like Rico Mung and Tony Frank and Bill Mosier, who kind of set the stage for this and has given us an opportunity. About 25 years I've been at CSU as a faculty member, but my first memories of the National Western Stock Show had to do with walking across the stockyards with Dr. Jim Brinks and Dr. John Matsushima, two animal scientist professors. We'd park over by the old stockyards. We'd walk through the stockyards. Mind you, it's typical stock show weather when we did that. Nice and chilly, walking across there. And it would take us more than 90 minutes to get across to where everything was taking place near the Hall of Education. And the reason why was that both Dr. Brinks and Dr. Matsushima had knowledge and, more importantly, engagement with the community that was there. So they would be stopped by everybody to answer a question, to share an idea, to catch up on each other's families. So that's the kind of principles and ethic we think about when we think about engaged scholarship at Colorado State University and what we'll bring to the table as part of the Office of Engagement and Extension. So I'm excited for the next steps. Look forward to working with you and certainly a resource to work alongside you. So Jeremy, why don't I go ahead and turn it back over to you?
So that's the majority of the presentation. Just wanted to see if anyone had any questions or wanted to know more about any of that.
Yeah, any questions for Jeremy or for Doctor?
Sorry.
No, you go.
So for the event that you have for 4th of July, just want to mention that there's a code for GS families to get in free, so that's important to
It
mention.
is. Thank you.
And also, Sabor Comunitario has been participating at CSU doing food samples, free food samples, and like at the beginning of the year, we started doing 450 samples for the people that attended CSU. Now we're doing 1,500 every event, since we have more people and they always come back for more. So it has grown a lot, and that's great to see also.
I can Google it, but I was just gonna ask, what is mycology?
Mushrooms, actually. And so learning how to monetize knowledge around mushrooms.
Monetize the knowledge, not the mushrooms.
You could grow them and sell them like in kind of a cottage industry setting. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
We brought our several grants up for companies go had a great time, but what really impressed me, Jeremy, was the people. Not only are locally, but really across the country, people coming, young people. So they're all very engaged, so you have a good quality stuff.
Jeremy, I have another question for, is that like a workshop? I mean, can anyone come to those workshops and learn about that?
Yes. So it is a workshop. It's a multi-week workshop that's already been going for about 5 weeks now. It's led by a CSU faculty who's based on site. And it's weekly, so I can get you information. I think people can still join and it's not too late.
And also, is the innovation program helps people in the community to do, because what I'm trying to do right now is working with mushrooms, but in drinks, like with hot cocoa, coffee, tea, just for the health benefits. But I want to create a brand, so I just wanted to see if it's possible to do it through the innovation program that you guys have.
I'm not sure.
Or I don't know how you guys do it.
I'm not sure on the mycology classes, how much it goes into the business elements of it. I know it does talk about a little bit about setting up your own business, but I think it's more about growing.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you, Jeremy. WSSA, the update was provided in the board packet.
Chairman, can I add one thing?
You bet.
So, for board members in here as well as staff that already know this as well, but tonight at 4:30 is our first happy hour in the saloon. We invited just kind of closed in, right, all the staff and faculty here on campus as well as the board members to come. So then we'll start sending it up, hopefully weekly as we start going here. It'll be bi-weekly for those that are.
Open bar.
Oh, yeah, with your credit card. It's open, you just.
My credit card, good.
I'm pretty sure we have yours on file, John.
Yeah,
Take
you-
care of it, so first round's on John.
You guys
so.
at WSSA, which is, everything the revenue states.
But anyway, that's all I was gonna add.
I like that.
Yeah.
Thanks. Any other questions for Wes? Great, thanks, question. Community update, the update will provide during the board meeting.
Yes, so Sabor Comunitario is about to start on June 29th again for 7 weeks. Thanks to the help of the National Western Center and CSU. Spur also, who are providing the space and also funding for the program to be able to work as a program. And also all the code for the licensing that they're gonna be having, the students. So this is, as you know, a program that not only teaches them how to cook, but also how to open their own businesses. We already had 3 businesses open thanks to that program, because we've done it for, 2 years. And also, we also help people get their licenses through the program, whatever license they need. So it's a great program. They're gonna have the graduation, and we tried to do it less weeks because we started with 32 weeks the first years. It was too long. Then we did it for 12 weeks each program. Now we decided to do it for 7 weeks since there's a big list of people waiting. When I posted the video in one day, we have 45 people. So I had to close it because it's only for 25 people. In the kitchen, we can't have more than 25 students. So, but we have a large mailing list. And we planning to do the next program at the end of August if we have funding. I already sent some emails to the board if you guys wanna help fund the next program. But yeah, that's how we're gonna do it for 7 weeks, and it starts on June 29th. We're gonna do another project which involve simple skills, entrepreneurship and economic, ¿cómo se dice? ¿Cómo se dice la palabra? Opportunities. So it was economic opportunities. But we didn't get the grant, so I applied through CIF. But we're gonna talk about the CIF also. So I'll wait for that part, because I have some things that I have to say about the CIF. But yeah, we applied for that and we didn't get that, so we didn't start that program.
Great, thanks, Sandra.
Thank you.
Caroline, do you have anything that you want to add?
Hi, everyone. Not a real big update for me. I just want to first say thank you to everybody who came to Tortillas for Tepeyac. Extra big thank yous to Wes. He did an amazing job rolling those tortillas. I had such a blast there. Always such a fun event. Loved seeing everybody come out. So thanks again to everybody and especially to Wes. We will be having our next event in a couple months, our big gala event. So you'll hear more about that from me in the coming months. But you know, we're all just kind of coming down from tortillas now, doing a little recovery from that. So we'll be planning our next event a little bit more, and you guys will definitely get an update from me on that pretty soon. But I don't have any other big updates apart from that.
Caroline, don't you chair the board now?
Yes, I am the president of the board for Tepeyac now.
Great. Great. Any questions for Caroline or for Phil? Thanks for the updates. Committee reports, we did not have a financial meeting this week. The update provided the board pack, I think Nicole and Merlin.
Mitzi is on the phone.
Okay.
And I think she has just a brief up.
Oh, go ahead, Mitzi.
Yeah, hello. Hola from Mexico. So we are closed through the month of May. Our operating results are 6.7 million in revenue compared to 13 million planned. So about 52% of the planned revenue for operating has been realized so far through May. Of that amount, 3.8 million in events revenue. That's a year-over-year increase of $2.8 million. So kudos to the events team. Expenses for the year to date through May were 5.5 million, and that's about 15.4 million of the plan. So that's 35%. Net operating revenue is at 1.2 million compared to our plan of a $2.4 million deficit. And consolidated, when we factor in district energy, our capital improvement plans, and equestrian center, we're at $900,000 in net revenue for the year to date. Quick operating update as well. We did get our new purchasing system online on Monday, so super excited to really help dial in our compliance and then also just create some efficiency throughout the team in our purchasing process. So that's all for me, unless anyone has a question.
Any questions for Mitzi? Hey, Mitzi, where are you in Mexico?
I'm on my son's senior trip. There's like 40 of us. Only 5 kids so far have lost their wristbands for being in trouble. So I got called out of bed last night to go get someone off the bathroom floor. It's not been great. But I'm in Cancun.
This is actually a work trip. This isn't vacation. Okay.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, that's actually a work trip for you. This is not a vacation.
Yeah, this is a work trip. Yes, indeed. They're having fun though. It's their little last blast.
Okay. And let's see, the campus services and partnerships, there was no meeting this week, but we do have a presentation later on. Community benefits. If Dave provided the board packet, any comments?
I have some questions about it. I was gonna send an email on Monday, but I decided to do those questions here, and it's mostly questions that I want the board to be asking ourselves too, so I have a list of questions that I wrote. And it's, to review and score the proposals, who serve on the selection committee, who made the final funding decisions and selected the projects that review awards, who are the leaders and organizers of the funded projects. Can the recommendations of the review committee be changed or override by another group or individual? How are conflict of interest identifies and addressed during the review process? How is long-term service leadership and involvement in the review committee considered during the evaluation process? How can applicants receive meaningful feedback about why the proposals were not selected? How can the authority get more involved in this, in the CIF? And how much control can the authority have in the future of the CIF?
So you brought that up before, some legitimate concerns there. I know Steve and I talked about this yesterday. He's got some things he thinks will really address a lot of your questions. Why don't we do this? I think we might have somebody during public comment also speak up. So why don't we let them talk, and then we'll take this up and let Steve give his presentation, his talk at that point. Okay, but those are legitimate concerns. If, you know, the board has a real, we need to be careful with the CIF. We do not direct where that money goes. That's by design. We're in charge of generating revenue. They're in charge of this, but we do have a fiduciary responsibility. I think really a moral responsibility to make sure that that mission is being adhered to. So we will address that. Right, public comment. That's okay with you, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, but those are legitimate. Thanks. Facility update.
So major facilities projects that we have going on the campus is one of them, campus security enhancements, which is adding cameras and access control to the maintenance and operation building and for the hub building. Surveillance operations center build out, which it will be in this building, that will help integrate all the camera system and access control to this building. Make it into an operations center so that security can dispatch and take care of any issues that come up. Campus fiber integration, we are about 95% complete of integrating the hub, which is this building, into the campus fiber network, which is for the whole campus, allowing us to be able to monitor and control building automation system, lighting control, and also security, surveillance and access control. The Stockyards Event Center airflow improvements. This is an evaluation of airflow that's going to be the performance on the expo side. It is there's not a lot of airflow coming through into that side of the building, so we are looking at improvements from pulling air from one side. So mezzanine access improvement. This is for the Stockyards Event Center as well. So there's been issues where the elevator keeps going down because it's not a freight elevator. So we need to make sure that in order for access to the mezzanine, we're going to be improving and removing some of the rails on stairwells, making it easy for our food and beverage and also for our PRG folks, which is for all of the AV equipment. It can be loaded in through the back from the stairwell instead of using elevator, which can cause the elevator to go down for more than 4 hours sometimes. So this will improve operations and moving in and loading out. Yeah. Rigging infrastructure assessment. We have been working on comprehensive assessment of the rigging for the expo hall at the Livestock Center and also for the water tower, which allows us for more sales capability for different types of events, concerts that require rigging. We have a new ATM solution called Root Point. This is a reverse ATM that has been installed with the ticket office. And we have access to it Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 p.m. Allowing anybody in the campus to be able to use the ATM services. And we could also temporarily relocate and add more ATMs around the campus if needed. Next slide, please. This is a big one in campus Wi-Fi splash page. So we have implemented a Wi-Fi splash page allowing guests to be able to purchase their own bandwidth if needed. So there's 3 different tiers. An example, if somebody uses the very basic tier, we're charging $5 per day. So that if 1,000 use regular trade show, that's $5,000 per day of revenue, just for the splash page. Again, this is just minimum. This will allow for any attendee to purchase this package. Slide. Another enhancement we have is the house systems project, which allows us to control all the displays from anywhere from our network. So this will allow for any opportunity for sales or advertisement around the campus. Now, with the campus fiber connectivity, this will allow for the campus partners to actually tap into that. We use that as well. So that's huge for advertisement. LBC commissioning, we have around 22 open items. These are review, correction, and verification. There's within that is building automation systems, smoke control, and also for the chiller, as Steve mentioned earlier. For the triangle handover, we are tracking for the goal of October 31st. We have all the data collection from WSSA. 2026 contract activities, we have completed 6 contracts, one of them including the Kone service agreement. We also have contracts nearing the completion, that includes the DAS agreement, which is nearing for completion, and we're hoping to get that started here in the next month or so, and that will help us to continue to move forward with the connection and having service for the campus. And then we also have Comcast conduit, occupancy sub-license, and CSU O&M agreement, EAS fiber sub-license, and SSA attractions IO agreement.
The improvement that you're looking at in the Wi-Fi on top of the high building, let me gate the need to provide splash pads.
So the Wi-Fi, it is more for this is for campus one. It can be used for, you can connect your cell phone and use that for Wi-Fi calling. So that could potentially solve some of that issue, but you want to be able to have a connection of your cell phones around, and that would be a separate from the Wi-Fi, but it can be used both ways needed. So that's something that we can offer up to for our attendees, is that because of the cell phone coverage, they can hop into the Wi-Fi.
John, I might say that Omar and all of the authority staff was really good as we worked through that issues at Stock Show last year of helping us kind of open up some bandwidth for our exhibitors to use the livestock center. And so that worked really, really good. So it can work, and we just had to teach them, and most of them don't know that you can just push one button and you're on Wi-Fi calling. So that was an education piece, but it did help some for our exhibitors down in livestock.
Are we adding, when people sign up for Wi-Fi, are we capturing their data so we can add them to the comms database?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. We can monitor what is the usage.
Don't most people, like hotels, when you sign up for their Wi-Fi, you have to give them all your stuff so they can start marketing to you?
That's something that we can look into, but that would be the next step.
That would be a consent issue. So CSO we'd have.
But don't they give consent when they sign up?
If they do, yeah.
Yeah, so once the splash page it has a little blurb of how the usage and rules for your Wi-Fi connection. And that's where the consent goes, and then the credit card reading as well.
Okay.
On the ATM, how many locations will be on campus?
So we currently have one location, which is right inside of the ticketing office 1, and it's open Monday through Friday 8 to 5. But there is a potential of there's 2 other ATMs that we do move around and rental. So, but there's only one on site.
One right now, yeah, I was just thinking about various events that happen and kind of convenience factor, and then there's ways convenience. What are the fees, and do we have a ceiling on how much those fees that vendor can charge visitors?
So the fees, I don't have that information, I can get back to you on that.
Yeah, I just would say to make sure that people are utility of it, the fees are not above whatever market is today. We had someone on our board about thing. But, man, sure,
Who's damn banks?
yeah, but you know, do you think it's kind of competitive to ask them to put some type of ceiling on the fees during the term of their?
Yeah, I mean, you got both the bank that owns the machine and plus where the person banks, both charge a fee. It's an expensive transaction.
Yeah.
Certainly has, but a lot of it's just set by each and rates.
Yeah.
Plus the coin.
Was that a sponsorship deal by any chance? Are they paying us in other banks? I mean, here on the campus?
I don't believe so. That's something I can find out as well.
You know, I was thinking that too. They're not owned, right? We're outsourcing that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah. And it gives the capability also, sorry, of, it's a reverse ATM, so we can also print your own debit card or credit card so that you can use it around the campus. Need it, so.
How is the ATM at the airport pretty coveted? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very much so. Yeah, very much so. And they strategically place them. But I think kind of to what Kay was suggesting, I was thinking about this too. So a sponsorship to get, you know, $100,000 a year, whatever the number needs to be. With that, there are 3 locations designated by the campus as to where they're going to be, and contract has a limit. So
Just
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
hi, sorry, like me into that question. So, Blue Point ATM, what we are getting for free is the ATM machine, and then we pay for the reverse ATM. And so it's at like a discounted rate, that's kind of the deal points that we work out with them. For being like our exclusive ATM and reverse ATM partner.
And how long is the contract?
It's 3 years, so we think that, you know, at that 3-year mark, we should have enough impressions to get better deals with banking partners, and that's just exclusive for ATM provider. That doesn't preclude any other sort of financial sponsorship arrangements.
Got it.
Hopefully that helps.
Great, thanks, Stephanie. Any other questions, Omar? Great, thanks, Omar. Do people pay with more than cash at the events? Okay, like the livestock and all the ones we hold on campus, is there a lot of cash or most of the card?
It's mostly cards.
Mostly card.
We're probably right now running about 75. We're probably a little behind. Our group tends to be traditional, you know, and so we don't change from tradition. So, but we are, I mean, we are seeing more and more every day. We see our ticket buying at about 92%, online purchases and those kind of things. So, I think in our world, it'll continue to work that way. And there may be specific places like, say, in Legacy, in the club or the lounge that may take cash. But I think as the campus moves toward a cashless campus, then we will be supportive of that across the board.
Thanks for letting me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Omar. Any more questions for Omar? Thanks, Omar. I'd like to flip this around, if that's okay, just gonna maybe go with the public session first, so we have some people here, and then we can excuse everybody for the executive session. Is that okay? Jessica, you hear that?
I'm good with that.
We can continue working on your presentation there. She said she needed a few more minutes. Who do we have on the line?
We only have staff members on the line, so no members of the public, so
Okay.
our only members of the public are
Well, let me go.
us today.
I'm sorry. Let me open it up for public comment. Do we have anybody who'd like to speak? Yes, all right, sorry, please identify yourself, please.
So Milo Valdez with Lowville First, longtime resident, very involved in the community. This is,
Rebecca, Frank Lovell first as well.
so we had some concerns and questions. One of our main concerns is we weren't a part of how the SIF program was constructed and put together. So we don't really know like the guidelines that were put in place for it. It's a really hold anybody accountable to how things are going now. We've talked to Daryl Watson and some people in the room. Haven't really gotten any answers back, just kind of reaching out for transparency purposes. Right now, it really seems, and I know you guys don't really let the community kind of find the order of where the funding should go. But right now, it seems as if one organization is kind of dictating where these funds are going. So we thought it would be very important to present this to you, being that the money comes from the National Western. With that being said, we would like to have a really serious question about how this board was formed to make decisions with this funding. And particularly, how was Shannon appointed to kind of dictate what happens with our community's funds? Being that she is not from our community, she has kind of been transplanted into our community and is speaking now as if she's lived her whole life. And really what's happening here is our community is being overlooked by organization that is trying to empower the infrastructure with the funds that should be going into the community. So anyone who's kind of backs them or they're trying to build up, these funds are being funded through them. We do Global First have put together a project or a program where we were changing people's windows, doors, trying to make people's homes more efficient, safer handrails for some of our elders in the community. And we gradually seen, being that we were asking for transparency, funds start to be given in lower amounts. And then this third cycle actually be diminished to not receiving anything that goes directly into the residents that live here. If you look at like the new recipients from this third cycle, it has a lot to do with block parties. It has a lot to do with arts. And I'm not saying there's not a need for that, but it's excessive. It's excessive to the point where some of these funds can actually be helping the residents grow with the times that are happening, the community and environment around them growing. You know, whether it's taxes rising, whatever the case may be, while they're living on fixed incomes with homes that aren't really economically sound to be able to sustain some of the heats or winters coming to them. And we were focusing some of those funds into actually helping the people where they need it most, you know, because our program isn't going to keep them warm in the winter or cool in the summer. So with that being said, we would really like to just get a little more transparency on how the actual SIF itself was kind of constructed, what the guidelines were for the people who were in those kind of decision-making processes, to be able to, or even have more versatile community members in there, not just kind of capitalized by one organization dictating. Because as of right now, that's really what it is. If you're not part of GS Coalition or back GS Coalition, then you're kind of an outsider. And GS Coalition themselves, it will speak for all three neighborhoods and are not from these neighborhoods. You may have Candy, who is from Swansea, and that's about it, and Alfonso from Elyria. They're really making decisions with these funds, and these funds are growing. And for us, impacting the community directly, where there's an outcry for it from the communities, to see those kind of fundings just kind of trickle down to being zero really raises a lot of concerns. And we think it would be appropriate to let you know, being that the fundings are coming from you. But we think it's very, very concerning and honestly not right by the way this is being handled. So we would just really like to circle back and see what are the grounds for these people? What are their guidelines? Like how do we keep them in line? How do we keep them honest and transparent to a lot of these decisions they're making with community funding? It is a community investment fund, you know, so it should be led by the community, ran by the community. And the community's voice should be a big part of where, whether it's percentages or parts of these fundings are being broke down and distributed to. So
I think, one thing I wanna add, I think the main concern for a lot of community is, and Sandra mentioned it earlier, is conflict of interest. So if they are in charge of structuring the SIP, the programs that they're head spearing are the main ones getting distributed funds. So at this point, it's like, where does that conflict of interest lie? A lot of the folks that select what projects are being funded are anonymous. And I feel like that's very strategic on their end, because then that doesn't hold them accountable. They're finding loopholes, they're finding little wraparounds to get away with it legally. They are very smart, you know, they've been doing this for a long time. You know, Nola, she's done a ton of work for the city. She grew up in North Denver, and she knows a lot of people. She knows the right things to do. And when they start, you know, looking into lawyers and getting legal ways of doing things, and morality soon goes out the window. I feel like it's so important on a high level to keep the morality piece involved in this whole project. Like Milo mentioned, we did speak to Daryl Watson before. We've had meetings, you know, with Steve. And Watson says, oh, you know, I asked Shannon to have a report on my desk by the end of the week. Here we are like 3 months later, and we still don't have any reports. We still don't have nothing. So I feel like he's just telling us little things to appease us for now. But here we are months later, and we're still, you know, in the same spot. So it's just, it's a little frustrating because, you know, these keep coming up, but it doesn't seem like any solutions are being made. So we're gonna keep showing up until we try to figure out a way, like you said, keep them honest, you know, and look into these groups that are being funded. Because last time when we had a SIF meeting, one of the ladies that got awarded a substantial amount of money didn't even know the park's name where she was doing her programs. And that tells you right then and there, she's not from here. When you don't even remember the park that you're running programs, but you're running programs out of one of our parks to say that it's in GES. You know, it's outside, you know, entities kind of be involved with GES Coalition, and they're getting distributed funds for just doing programming in our parks. While grassroots organizations that have been here, and mind you, everybody, you know, part of Globeville First, were raised here, generations upon generations. So we have very deep roots, you know, and you guys being National Western, you guys been here for many generations. Our family's been coming to events here forever. And so, you know, with that being said, just the whole morality piece of just, you know, whoever's trying to come in here, everybody homes in because we're the most polluted zip code in America. So they figure out ways like, oh, you know, Globeville, they have all these, you know, strengths. Let's get a group together and start rallying and start getting funding, you know, and that's exactly what's happening with all these organizations. They're profiting off of our misfortune. And it's sickening and it's disheartening. And, you know, if we don't speak up, then nothing's gonna ever get done, so.
And sorry, just to add one more thing to that, not $1 of this SIF program is going to anything to remedy the pollution that we grew up in, or that we continue to raise our kids in, or our families, or our elders are in. So that was a big thing of us trying to help people with their homes, to try to get homes, you know, air purifiers, whatever the case may be, whatever the community needs, which I think was the original intention of these funds. Wasn't really put here to welcome the gentrification, you know, by building up organizations that say they speak for people. So those were kind of, our long-winded questions and concerns. But we would really like to know how it was to see if the SIF was structured. And this may not be the time, but, we don't want our voice to just keep falling on deaf ears. So it may be something we could talk about now, possibly, or later, but something that we need change. It's not being ran correctly.
Well, well stated by both of you. I appreciate the comments, and obviously Saunders brought these up and was real champion of this issue too. I know Councilman Watson is aware of it. I think he wants to do something about it, so he was in the camp of transparency. We have a bit of a challenge here at the board, obviously, because we have kind of a dual purpose here of raising money, but we don't want to be involved in saying, hey, this person gets money, this person gets money. But we do have a responsibility, I think a moral responsibility in a fiduciary to make sure the process is fair. But we want you all to feel, there's always gonna be griping about somebody gets turned down, but as long as you feel like, okay, it's fair, I get it. That's what we want, but if it's like, wait a minute, that doesn't feel good, I think you have a legitimate concern. I'd like to have Steve kind of proactively say a few things that we're gonna look at. And then probably the best way to do this is not to debate it here, but to maybe work with, Kate and Steve and figure out kind of where we go from here. But what we do here, you are aware of it, so I must say you're excellent you represent your case very well. So,
I'm gonna
Yes, Sandra.
comment this on the, one of the concerns also was that all the groups that did a proposal under Global First, and we were one of those groups, didn't get any funding. And we see it as personal because they applied, I applied, and other groups applied under the umbrella of Global First, and no one got anything. And there were big projects for the community, for the benefit of the community. And then we see all these other 19 groups, new groups. There's 2.3 groups that they awarded. There's like two other, like, you can see that kind of projects that really don't benefit our community. And it's something that we keep saying, that we see a lot of funding coming into the community, but we see this community is not growing, being the same. And it's because if we start changing that, if we start saying we're not the most polluted community, we're not the most poorest communities, then there's not gonna be any more funding anymore. And that's how we see it, that these groups are taking advantage of these communities. And that's why we want to make sure that if there's funding for the community, it has to go to the community for things that are gonna grow. Not just, and again, my project was for economic opportunities, it was for entrepreneurship, like, we need those kind of projects. We need those kind of projects, and we see this kind of projects like a dancing group or a project that is about throwing rose petals on earth to help the earth. That's ridiculous, $5,000 for that. We see it like that, we see it ridiculous, and it's something that is very frustrating. And I know the board only gives the National West Fund gives the funding, but we also have to check how the funding going, because not all the funding is going to the community. Last year and this year, there was like 196,000 and only 100,000 was awarded. What happened to the other $96,000? Who's keeping that money? And those are the things that we're seeing, because we're not ignorant. Probably we don't act smart, or like me, my English is not perfect, that doesn't mean we're dumb. And we're just already frustrated that this keeps happening, and that's why we have to change those things.
I know Steve's been here since the beginning of this. Yeah, we're kind of going through some great pains, and right, it was a difficult thing to set up, but I get what you're saying, but we do need to monitor, and it sounds like it doesn't have credibility in the marketplace, and that is a concern board. We're not gonna solve the problems today, but we did hear you.
For sure.
And we're not gonna basically discuss it all, so Steve's here, so.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, John, and thank you guys for being here, and thanks for speaking out. I know that it's personally frustrating to not have the project selected. the folks that are speaking up and challenging the process and trying to improve it are not getting the funding, and I recognize that and understand that frustration. We are hearing you. There is a line though that we have drawn. We are not picking projects. The framework agreement is clear that the neighborhood picks the projects. The neighborhood is determining the programs and the initiatives and projects. So what we can do though is process. And so the third cycle has happened. There have been very few requirements in the past. The fourth cycle is beginning at the end of June. So the way that the funding works is we write a grant agreement and distribute the funds in July, and those funds go all the way to the next June 30th. So you just got the cycle 3 were funds that we distributed in July of 25. The new grant agreement for cycle 4 has a lot more process requirements based on what we've been hearing from the community, including you guys, around reporting, around governance, around internal controls, board governance. What are the terms? What are the term limits? What are the decisions? Meeting minutes, recordings, conflict of interest disclosures, prohibited use of funds around political involvement. So we are putting many more parameters around these dollars to try to make a more transparent process for all community members. So I'm happy to go into more detail. We have a lot to share there. We are right in the middle of discussing these deal points as in the upcoming grant agreement with the CIF committee. And so we are listening. You have been heard, and it is getting incorporated into this upcoming grant cycle.
I can assure that Kate and Steve and the entire team, we understand the concerns and the frustration. There is some growing pain there, but obviously we'll continue to tweak it, but I appreciate you all speaking up, but we don't know what's going on the ground. We do, so.
We just would like to, one more thing, I mean, it's kind of the same, but we really just make a strong point that it's not the community making these decisions like you had just mentioned. It's an organization making these decisions, and that's the biggest dilemma here. Is that it's an organization with self-interest and it's seeing motives making these types of decisions for the community. And to back kind of to my question is, who appointed Shannon to kind of be implanted into our community to dictate what happens with our funds? So that's a huge thing to us, to think that the community isn't competent. And I'm not saying you guys are saying we're incompetent, but to think that a community isn't competent enough to kind of come together through organizations that are here, not organizations that are up and coming and trying to make a stakehold in our community to make these kind of decisions. So we didn't choose Shannon in this position. She was pushed on us. And it's just showing that now her decision making is being pushed on us as well. And it's not so much about the gripe of us not getting the funding. It's about the process and the dictatorship of where funding is going, because someone may do programs similar to what we're doing. We want the funds to get to the people, affect them in the most positive way possible. I think initially with the good intentions of the SIF program itself, I think those were all the intentions, and the growing pains will happen. And this is kind of just us to let know these growing pains are here and be aware of it, because a lot of these organizations really bank on lack of community involvement. And this is how they've gotten to the point of where they're at, to make decisions for the community and be able to say they speak for the community. So now that the community is starting to be involved, we would really like to see a lot of true community involvement within the board of the SIF decision making. And it's not just be kind of dictated by one organization. So I know I kind of get long-winded because, you know, I love
Well, we
this.
certainly can.
I would like to know kind of, I'm sorry, I
Yeah,
don't need to
people
know.
like you that we want involved in the decision-making process.
Yeah,
I mean, I
You're
can
on the
answer,
ground.
I can answer a couple of those questions.
Yeah.
So we had an
I see what wrap it up,
right?
actually, but-
yeah,
We created there was a technical assistance grant that came from the city for $400,000, and that was in 2023. And that was to establish the CIF along with several other parameters in there that they're required to do. As part of that, the CIF committee, the group of volunteers, hired a project manager.
okay,
So we did, that was not, but again, that's the neighborhoods process.
for sure.
Now, the other thing around you mentioning there's a single organization, what we're trying to do here is establish a process and openness to where that's true, it's obvious.
And it very much so is, as you see, the grantees will speak volumes of where the money is being directed, so you can always kind of follow the money.
Oh, we-
One,
Go ahead.
one thing-
Go ahead.
maybe, just as a suggestion for the next grant agreement is, to just consider, so there's like multiple organizations, you know, that are all doing these kind of, you know, ritualistic things in the park. There's multiple, groups that are getting granted, you know, yoga. I think last go around, there's like 2 yoga classes. You know, and it's like, when we have such a strong need for other things, I don't feel like it serves our community well if we're funding multiple groups for the same thing. Now, like Milo mentioned, you know, if there's other organizations that are doing home improvement, that is amazing because that still helps our community. But we just don't feel like it's beneficial to the community if we're funding 5 programs that are all doing the same thing, you know?
Thank you for
Thank
coming
you for
forward.
coming.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
You're a real champion in, honoring that to make some great point, but we, Steve and, Kate, we hear you and I think it makes it all points. Thanks. Yes, Bill.
I know you're trying to wrap up, but I think from a board perspective, we shouldn't be running the SIP, and I get that, but we sure ought to make sure that it represents the community.
It's gotta be accountability in the whole
You need-
process.
You need to have accountability and the representation, and we should care about that.
And I know you're trying to wrap up too, so I'll make this quick, because I appreciate you guys coming here and I've heard your concerns before. And I agree that they're valid. I just want to offer as a resource, a couple of things. One is if you haven't read the framework agreement, you can Google it. And it states exactly how it was to be set up. It states what the purpose of the funds is to be. But when you get in there, you'll see it's not super specific. And so it's very difficult for any one person to say this is exactly how it's supposed to be used. Given the community nature of the process, there are going to be dissenting opinions all day, every day, right? You may prioritize heating and cooling. Others would prioritize sidewalks. And if the fund did the heating and cooling, we'd have people sitting here saying that they needed sidewalks, right? So the point I'm making is there isn't a lot of specific guidance. And so this body relies on the community to help make these decisions. So number one, I would spend some time in the framework agreement. Number two, to the extent that you guys can do some grassroots work, some coalition building to come up with a better process, to come up with a solution, it would really be helpful. Because we're, you know, this many people that you see sitting here, and we're not in it all day, every day like you guys are. And so any well-intentioned group can come and say, we have the community's best interest at heart, and then 10 other groups can tell us they do. So that's where we rely on you guys to truly represent the neighborhoods, do some coalition building. So it's not just 3 or 6 or 10 people with an opinion, but have a reliable process. That's kind of what John and Steve are talking about. To the extent you can help with that process to come up with something that's never going to be perfect, but is at least reliable for a period of time. And then maybe you create a structure where it gets revisited every 2 years or something. It would be really helpful if you could help bring that to us, because when you get into the agreement, you will see that our role is, you know, say that the CIF is a car, our role is to put fuel in it. Our role is to fill it with gas. And so if the engine breaks down or the brakes fail, we're not really equipped to handle that. The framework agreement envisioned you guys being able to handle that. So to the extent you can really widen the breadth of your reach and come up with a good process, it would really be helpful. We're here as a resource. We have legal guidance. We have all kinds of resources. So, and we tried this at the beginning when the CIF got set up. We tried to offer them assistance and had put together a governance structure and stuff. And they saw it as too paternalistic and that we were interfering. So, you know, we want to walk that fine line, but we're also here to help to the extent that we can. So lots of suggestions.
Yeah, one last thing I would say is this is an annual grant agreement. And so every year we're gonna improve and get better.
Yeah, and I agree, and thank you for, I'm sorry, I'm thankful for your advice. We would just like to get more community involved in the process of decision making.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part where we're saying, because when you only have one person at the wheel, you know, then everybody's just a passenger at that point. And right now, that's where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, we put the gas in the car, but we don't, you guys gotta figure out where to drive it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Appreciate you letting us
Appreciate
hear
it.
it for a little bit.
Thanks for coming.
thank you.
Over there, yeah.
Oh, no, come on, we're still, for the executive session, for the kick off.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
What's burning? Okay, you're have a motion to go into executive session? No. We have a second. Clerk?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. The Board of Directors of the National Western Center Authority desires to conduct business within an executive session pursuant to section 24-6-402 sub 4 sub B and sub E CRS to confer with counsel on for legal advice on specific legal issues and also to determine positions relative to procurement matters that may be subject to negotiations and developing strategy for negotiations and instructing negotiators. The board will not and cannot adopt any policy, position, resolution, regulation, or formal action during this executive session. This executive session is being recorded, and the recording will be maintained in the books and records of the National Western Center Authority should there be a time when the public desires to access it. And if they do, then there are certain legal processes that we go through for that. This statement is being made pursuant to statute as required by statute. Because we're going to be discussing procurement matters, it's very important that we maintain the confidentiality of what happens in this executive session because it can affect the market, it can affect all sorts of other decisions. So it's important to keep this very confidential until the chair or our CEO tells you otherwise. So with that, are there any questions before the chair asks for a vote?
All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed? Very close.
Okay.
We are now officially out of executive session. We made a motion on Jessica's presentation. Well, I would make the motion. I approve the purchase as presented by Jessica with the caveat that Kate reviews it and signs off. And that Jessica gets appropriate information about Caroline and Rob.
Second that one too.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any
I will
comments?
close until I get that further information, at which point I might change my mind.
Okay, that's fine, Caroline. Okay, the motion is approved. And okay. Anything else for this meeting? Because we thought now probably says an hour and 15 minutes, most of the time, it's no time. Okay. Anything else for this week? And I think we not have the August meeting, right? We do have July meeting.
Correct.
Correct. Good to everybody, great to have you on board. Brand's products been a great spot with a good staff and You're gonna turn this on new heights, so hopefully we put it up for your plate today. It didn't go well. Great. So I have motion to adjourn.
You can just adjourn, don't you, Chair?
You
You already motioned that.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Maybe I did this.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah, we're fine.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.
I'm not getting back to you on that.